it's just not right that people are going hungry while there's enough food in the world, enough food produced in the world, so that everybody on the planet can be getting 2,000 calories a day. It's not a lack of food, it's a distribution problem.
They'll put black ink in that, rub it on it, it'll suck down in the cracks, and then you wipe it off and you have all this beautiful, spider webbing. I like that done to a lot of pots. I don't know why, that just sort of, it's like a spider web. Every pot will crack different. And now you can make big cracks by having real heavy glaze, and thin cracks, but thinning it out, little bitty, squares.
They're more in the back than they were in the front, about 20.
How did you get involved in pottery?
Oh boy, well I was teaching, and I had to teach high school clay, and I had really very little experience in clay, so we had no kiln and no wheels at the school where I was teaching, so we did some fundraising, got a kiln and some wheels donated, and I used my sculpture background, and we did a lot of hand building things. This was a refire, Jim, and it had little bubbles all over. There's no bubbles now at all. That's it. This is by there's one little one here, but this is by Nini Bodenheimer, who lives in Burnsville.
Taking it up a little slower, you think?
This was about 2 hours longer than the last fire, and I felt like it was a little slow, but I'm believing that it was probably much better.
Well, I've known about Empty Bowls for a long time. I heard about Empty Bowls probably 15 years ago, and I think it's been going on now for 21 years. And have been involved with some events in the past, and have been, Highwater Clays have been donating clay to Empty Bowls events all over the place. A lot of times schools will give us a call and say they're doing an event, and we often provide them clay to do it with.
Well, if you're in Asheville and you're in the clay community, you're involved with Brian. Highwater Clay is the supplier. So if you're going to buy clay, glaze material, potter's wheels, any equipment, any tools, that's where you're going. So it's you meet Brian pretty quickly.
She was here just a minute ago.
He needs more.
Aaron?
He makes sure to get some. Brian was already working with MANNA, with Empty Bowls, and helping them get clay and helping them do things, and it's just a relationship that's grown, and Brian keeps suggesting new ideas, like a class at Odyssey just to make bowls for MANNA's event, and invited me to participate in that.
Yeah, because it is how to dip these things. You can't. This is easy to dip.
He and Gail are huge supporters of Empty Bowls, but they're also huge supporters of Asheville, and they're involved in a lot of philanthropic activities. Following Hurricane Katrina, they took orders for clay from potters in New Orleans and the area, and filled a truck with 43 tons of clay that they delivered free of charge to help people get back on their feet. So you don't get involved in anything like this without meeting Brian and Gail pretty quickly. So just a couple of quick things about Empty Bowls. I do have a little pamphlet, which, Linda, if you could send those around for everybody. And I brought in just a couple visuals because you're all visual people. I hope you all are familiar with Studio Potter magazine and that you all get it. This was started almost 40 years ago.
How did you come up with the idea of teaching people or holding a class to make bowls, teaching them to make bowls to donate to the Empty Bowls event?
Well, it just made sense that it was a way that we could use Odyssey to focus on the Empty Bowls luncheon. And in some cases, we're teaching people how to make bowls. In a lot of cases, we're getting people who already know how and are using the class as an opportunity and as a vehicle for making as many bowls as they can.
I'm trying to bowl without a, so I don't have to trim it very much.
Well, welcome back to yet another week, and we admire your perseverance. And now things are starting to come out of the kiln by seemingly the hundreds, and so there's a lot of really interesting things to see. And that has led Linda to a question. So Linda, raise that question to the class.
The quality control or the color?
The quality control.
Oh, I've got a good example.
Well, I was in Ann Arbor in the late 60s for school, and it was a volatile, tumultuous time, as most anybody my age will remember. And I was in art school as a freshman in fall of 66, and began to think about what I was going to do. Because I really wasn't sure. I went to school without knowing, as many people do, and did some pre-student teaching, and that was it. It was no longer that I was wanting to take ed classes so I could avoid the draft. It was I wanted to take ed classes because I really enjoyed what I was doing. And by the time my student taught, I guess it would have been fall of 69, fall of 69, I knew that I wanted to go into education.
Like I said, I've never been on the electric. I like to use the body. Make things that I'm not only charity, but fun to just make things and give them away.
Yeah.
Make a lot of bowls.
If this stays fixed, braced somewhere here, and you push down here, it's going to push it into there.
So how many bowls do you think you've contributed to the Empty Bowls of MANNA's events?
I don't know, 5,000 to 10,000, I guess.
That's a lot of bowls.
Yeah, I guess so. Well, this year, I think we've probably, the event has actually been growing every year, and this is the biggest year. 10,000 might be a little high, but probably not when you consider the amount of clay that we've sent out to other events where bowls have been made.
For me, it was when I was at Odyssey doing my residency. I signed up for the first Empty Bowls class. Well, it wasn't the first one, but the first time I took the class, I signed up for it. I met John Hartom. It was something that was really of interest to me because I had always worked with doing volunteer work related to the hunger issue in every other city I'd lived in. And I took the class, and I was just blown away by the fact that I could make these bowls and make such a difference. And also the fact that John was here and hearing the story about how he and Lisa started Empty Bowls, and it was very powerful. It was really very powerful. So I did that first class, and then I did, as long as I was at Odyssey through my residency, I did all the Empty Bowls classes.
could fit 600 people in this room. Our goal is really to have people come in, choose their bowl, get their soup, eat, and then go to the other rooms to have their dessert and coffee. In the past, desserts and coffee used to be in this room.
Well, I was having lunch with the director of community service for the school district where I taught, and she said the school district food drive is running short of money. So I immediately said, oh, I think my students can help. I had no idea what I was talking about. I had no idea how they were going to help. So I went home and talked to Lisa, and we came up with the idea of asking my students if they would be involved in some way by making enough bowls to invite the staff members to lunch. And we figured if we charged them some money, we could for their lunch, we could raise some money.
Empty bowls was an easy one. All I had to do was make soup and show up. And I thought it was such a great, the concept is so cool. I mean, think about it. You go in there and you get a handmade bowl for next to nothing. Soup, you know. It's really nice. It's really a fun thing. One of the very first things I did was the first Empty Bowls event in Asheville was held downtown, and I just made soup. I showed up with my soup, my little table, and my little. It was great, and I like the idea of Empty Bowls in particular. So that was an easy fit for me and a great way to get involved. But I've been on the board with MANNA I did one stint as on the board of directors, and so I've been involved with MANNA for almost 11 years now. All right, so put your lentils in. The thing I like about it is it speaks to the very best of Asheville. We have all this art, we have this music, we have a very, very good food scene here now that's developed in the last 10, 11 years. So we got all these cool chefs and all these cool potters and this great music. They're gonna have music there as well, and they always do. And it's usually music that's local, of course. So it's just, and everybody donates their time, and then everyone else comes and they donate their money. And it's a big old party in the middle of the day. So it's great fun.
You get one more.
Here's one more,
One more and that's
I've got two more.
We're right here at the
Well, for years I wasn't able to make the luncheon because it coincided in October with an event that I had to go to somewhere else. The first year I did go, it was very surprising to me to see that the lines of people were out the door before the event even started, and how excited people were to be there.
The Empty Bowls event is a wonderful event for MANNA because it really is a mission-driven event. It magnifies our work in every aspect of the way it is held. People come and they make a donation. In exchange, they get a bowl that they get to take home that reminds them that they've fed people this one time and they can do it again. They're having a simple meal, something that is something that somebody who's poor might find as their regular meal. They have just soup and bread, but it brings people together around the issues of hunger. Empty Bowls means that MANNA has raised over $208,000 in the past 10 years through this project. This whole event is able to bring artists together with food vendors who have food, and all to benefit the poor or the folks that are in need of food.
when we began this, Lisa and I both, as I mentioned, were incredibly naive, and we actually thought that raising money could put an end to hunger. We knew nothing of the scale of the problem. We knew nothing about the politics, which are amazing. We knew nothing about policies in place in this country and elsewhere that literally guarantee that there's going to be people in poverty. So I have no idea if this project will be continuing beyond tomorrow, let alone 20 years from now. But we had no idea it was going to continue after that first day either, so I don't know that there's any way to tell. I think that what we have found out is that the metaphor of an empty bowl is universal and immediate. Everybody knows what that metaphor is about.
So anyhow, my questions are pretty simple. I've got about 7 or 8 questions.
Probably none of them are going to surprise me.
None of them are going to surprise you.
Yeah.
And a few of them you've answered to me before.
Okay.
So we'll just go right into it then.
Hope I keep my lies straight.
That's good, yeah. Well, fortunately, this will be the only time you've lied to me on camera.
Okay, well that's important.
So, yeah, okay.
That's very important.